what we're going to do now is we're going to style this header section of the web page. So the header is this black area with the hamburger menu. And on a mobile phone, you tap the menu and it opens and shuts the navigation links. So to begin with, we're going to create a header.css file. And then we're going to open that file up with Visual Studio Code. And I might just make a comment that we're styling the mobile first view. And if we triple click that line, it'll select it. And then Control / makes it a comment. So we're styling the header. So I can identify the header element by its name, header. And then we want to give it a background color of black and overflow hidden. Then what we want to do is we want to style the level 1 heading. For me, that's the text Peru. And I'm going to make that white in color. And I'm going to float it to the left. And I'm going to give it some padding. So when we give padding, we can specify 1, 2, or 4 values. I'm going to specify 2 values. So the first value will be top and bottom, and the second value will be right and left. The values go clockwise. So if you specify 4 values, it goes top, right, bottom, left. If you specify 2 values, it goes top, bottom as a pair, and then right and left as a pair. And if you specify just 1 value, then it's applied to all 4 sides. I'm going to align my text in the center. And I'm going to say that this takes up 100% of the width. That basically means that there'll be nothing either side of it. And we can have a look at how that's looking. So I can save that and we can take a look at what's going on there. So that's what it looks like before the styling. And then now my Peru text, my level 1 heading's in the center and it's white. Now we want to style this hamburger menu and links. So my hamburger menu is the image is the label for the checkbox. So the first thing I can do is I can identify my hamburger checkbox using a hash symbol. And that means we're looking for the hamburger checkbox ID. So where I've got hash hamburger checkbox, that's looking for ID hamburger checkbox in my HTML, which is here, ID hamburger checkbox. So when we've got a hash symbol, it matches an ID. Whereas when we've used header or H1, we're just looking for the element name. Now, my actual checkbox, I don't need to see. So I'm going to display none for that one. What I'm interested in seeing is the hamburger image. So I might just have to double check I've given that an ID. So my hamburger image doesn't have an ID. So I want to give it an ID. Hamburger image. And then I can apply some styling to it. I'm going to give it some background color as white. I'm going to display block, which means it'll take up the full width of the parent element that it's in. And then I'm going to give it some margins. At the bottom, I'm going to give it 20 pixels. So we can specify margin bottom, margin left and right. So margin left and right both set to auto. That means my hamburger image will be centered in the middle of the screen. I can give the hamburger image some padding, and this will be applied to top right, bottom left. So top right going clockwise, top right, bottom left, 10 pixels to all 4 sides. And then finally, I'm going to specify a width, and that's going to be 10%. And if I save that, we can go and refresh the web page and see how that's looking. And now my hamburger image is in the center. It's taking up 10% of the width, and it's got some white space, which is the padding around the image, and it's got a white background. So it's starting to look a lot better. But at the moment, the checkbox underneath that label, which is the image, is still not functioning. So what we want to do next is we want to say if our hamburger checkbox is not checked, then we want to get our nav. That's where our links are inside. And we want to do some stuff there. And if the checkbox is not checked, what we want to do is we want to hide those links. And if it is checked, we want to make those links look nice. So we want to style the links inside the nav. So we can identify the nav, and then the anchor tags, they're the hyperlinks or links inside the nav. And we can give the links some color. We're going to float them left. That's going to be particularly useful when we get to our desktop view. We can specify a font size. I'm going to go with 17 pixels. And we can specify some padding. I'm going to specify 2 values. So it's going to be top and bottom, and right and left. So 2 pairs, top and bottom pair, 30 pixels, right and left pair, 20 pixels. We're going to align the anchor tag text in the center. And I'm going to get rid of the underline. So you might know, like hyperlinks by default, they have an underline. I'm going to remove that underline by saying text decoration none. And then finally, I'm going to have those links take up 100% of the width of their parent element. So if we save that and have a look what's going on. Now I can open and shut the menu, and the links appear and disappear. So the nav appears and disappears. What I also want to do is I want to have some effects take place when I hover the mouse over the links, or when I use the tab key to focus on the links. So I'm going to say nav a hover. That's when the mouse hovers over the links. And I'm going to invert the colors. So I'm going to make the background color white. And I'm going to make the text color black. And I'm going to copy that. And this time I'm going to change hover to focus. And I'm going to add a little piece outline none. And let's have a look what's going on there. So now when I hover the mouse over the links, the colors are inverted. And if I use the tab key to tab through, the colors are inverted as well. Now, outline none, when you use the tab key, by default, there's a little rectangle around it. Outline none just gets rid of that little rectangle. Now, the final thing I want to do is I want to identify the active nav. So I'm going to use a dot to identify the class active nav. And I'm going to give it a background color. And for this, I'm going to use a hexadecimal value. And I'm going to use 2A6592. And I'm going to make the text color white. So dot active nav, that's looking for the class active nav. And that's this one here. So that's the page we're on right now, the home page. Now, if I refresh that page, the home page, which we're on right now, is sort of highlighted blue. And when we hover over the links, they change color. And so that's the mobile view. That's the CSS for the mobile view for the page. One thing I might do before I wrap this up, though, is add a few comments in. So it's always good to have a few comments. And you can triple click to select the line and Control/ to make it a comment. So comments help you understand your code or help other people understand your code. So it's a good idea to comment your code where there's where it might not be clear to someone why you're doing this. So often when you write code, you come back 6 months later and you look at it and you go, what happened? Maybe you come back 3 days later and look at it and go, what's going on there? Writing comments on your code can help you understand what's going on and help other people what's going on. So please comment your code.